Everyone, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Welcome to the Bonn Universitätforum. Welcome to a night called Beautiful Trouble, Inspiring Interventions. I promise you, there are about 90 minutes, exciting minutes to come, and I really enjoy to be in the state and in the position to present two guys to you tonight. As you can imagine, not everyone was that amused when we announced an event with a somehow catchy title, the building right in the restriction zone of COP23, on a day with at least 2 major demonstrations in the city and even right across the street. Yeah, but I had numerous discussions with the police in the last days, but mostly because these poor people, they do not even have restrooms. But we have. So we got friends, almost. Yeah, but to get to the point, one officer asked me, well, Mr. Müller, why are you doing this beautiful trouble thing as a university? I mean, do you want to attract troublemakers? Or do you want people to do something? Well, of course, I tried to appease them, because I know you're all very nice people, aren't you? Yeah. No, I also answered, well, we want people to do something. Of course we want you to do something. And at least we want you to make a difference. We want to think about and discuss protest forums and ideas of interventions and momentums, while the 23rd COP goes through its procedures to initiate change this time. Or maybe next time, or afterwards, we don't know. But let's see. For us at the FIW, as an interface of Bonn University to all the international organizations and the United Nations here in Bonn, it's important not only to provide expertise or matching the right partners, we also aim to team up with other partners to link art and science, for instance, because we know transformation is to some extent always related to cultural change. And we are happy to present you two guys which often criticize, annotate, and reveal things at the same time. And tonight they will present some of their latest actions. And they will also take lots of questions from you and discuss with you. But before giving the stage to them, 3 things. Tonight's social media hashtag for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is BTBN, Beautiful Trouble Bonn. But you also might spam the Yes Men and COP23. So do your job, please. Yeah, and of course I'd like to thank our partners. You know, it always takes a lot of efforts to set up an event like this one, and with so many visitors and such a huge audience. First of all, I'd like to thank Save the World of Theatre Bonn, namely Nicola Bramkamp and Andrea Tietz, for bringing the Yes Men to Germany, and to the Crossroads Conference back with COP23 last Sunday. And I'd like to say thank you to the Liaison Office of International Academic Sciences at the UN-City of Bonn for their support. And I have to thank the great people at the FIW here, the team, respectively Lem for film editing, for their continuous hard work, especially during the last days. Third point is, there will be a reception afterwards. So there is drinks and foods for you after you enjoyed the guys. But now, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Yes Men!
Thank you, everybody. Wow, you all stopped at once, too. How did you do that? Have you been rehearsing out here? We weren't, when we were back there in the special secret room, you know, because this is the place where, what's that guy's name? who used to be in this building?
Oil.
Oil. No, coal.
Coal.
Helmut
Right.
Kohl.
Yeah.
Helmut Kohl used to live in here. Is this his house?
No,
Is that
it was his office,
His office.
I think.
Yeah, back when this was West Germany. Yeah, and so we were back there in the bunker, and Björn, who just was talking to you, actually went out here and then came back in and told us that there was no audience, that they were just playing a recording of the audience. And so when you just all stop clapping in unison, I'm beginning to wonder if you're actually robots, because I'm having that uncanny valley experience right now.
Well.
Onwards.
Anyways.
What are we doing here?
We're going to show a video because we don't know how to
yes,
introduce
some
ourselves.
of you clearly don't know. You don't
we
know
are.
who
You've
we
never
are,
heard
what
of
we do.
The Yes Men, obviously. So,
Yeah.
This is a little video that just says who the Yes Men are. And then we'll take any questions.
We don't usually get arrested, but ever since the 1990s, Mike and I have been dressing up in secondhand suits and impersonating big and powerful people.
Hello, this is Reggie Lamprey calling. I'm from the Yes Bush Can campaign.
Hi, this is Kenneth Rung-Spratt from the WTO.
My name is Francisco Guerrero.
My name is Fred. I'm from Halliburton.
We weasel our way onto center stage. At least for a little while.
Mr. Oswin, you're not even on the directory of HUD. You're not even listed. You don't even have a phone number.
It's come to that, has it?
The hoax was an elaborate one.
For the first time, Dow is accepting full responsibility for the Bhopal catastrophe.
Well, the prank which briefly knocked 3% off Dow shares.
When the jig is up, it makes the news.
It's a group of pranksters who call themselves the Yes Men.
An activist group called Yes Men.
It's not the way most people protest, but it's our way to say no to corporate greed.
Oh,
All right, any questions?
We mean that. He meant that.
Yeah,
that wasn't
I
a
actually
joke.
did.
You're not supposed to laugh when we ask if there's any questions. That was really humiliating. Thank you. And now they're snorting too. Come on now. Somebody ask a question before we. Yes. Thank you. Can we make trouble tonight together, please?
Any ideas?
Oh, if there's anything, maybe we can bring the whole audience somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, little group over there. Afterwards with food and drinks.
That's a good
Excellent.
idea. And,
Right.
and that actually reminds me of the second part to the answer to that question.
Ah, yes.
Which is actually answered in a video.
Yeah, strangely, no?
We have a video that will explain how we can make trouble together.
Yeah.
Where are you coming from? What part of the world? What's that?
Hey.
Excellent.
Aachen part of the world.
The Aachen part.
Excellent. Okay. Well, this took place in Aachen. This video you're about to see, or Washington D.C. as we call it.
Yeah.
And this was at a. Yeah. This was this answers your question. So I think it sort of self-explains, right?
It does self-explain. This event that we're going to, though, just to kind of like increase the feeling of dread and gravity as we enter into this Homeland Security conference here. This was about a half a mile from the Pentagon. So if the Pentagon had wanted to send the military to take care of us at this conference, they could have. So we wanted to show you a little video that answers the question that was just asked about Aachen, and that also shows you a little bit more of the types of things that we do in collaboration with people from Aachen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Here we go.
Posing as government bigwigs, we would infiltrate a Homeland Security conference and announce that the USA was outlawing fossil fuels and replacing them with renewables. And the best part? the new wind and solar power plants would be owned by native tribes as partial reparations for genocide.
To actually have white people wearing bands that say native headdress and instead of a feather, a windmill, this is us making fun of the American ideal of what it is to be Indian.
This would truly be a second Thanksgiving. I told the conference that I represented General Colin Powell, and they were pumped to have him speak.
So our speakers are running just a tad late. We're not going to worry about it. General Colin Powell is coming to speak to us, and he's bringing a couple of colleagues.
General Powell, of course, would not show up, but his colleagues were nearly there.
Oh my God, you guys. Is this not going to be a total giveaway?
No.
Is there a way to, like, you know, maybe to make it a little less like it is?
Who's the other person?
Yeah. Well, the Admiral, and he's followed by the Deputy of the Secret Service. So you've got two, like, exceedingly senior people.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to just confirm with them because they're so late. I'm beginning to wonder what's going on.
He's Mr. Benedict Waterman. I'm Barbara Alexander. I'm so glad to meet you.
Hello. Hi. I'm nervous. Me and Tito are sitting down. We're trying to make small talk. Have you ever tried yoga?
No, not yet. I need to. I'm having a hard time finding the yoga pants that'll fit.
That's the most weight I've ever seen on a big.
He's a scientist, so
They can do like a lot of where somebody went.
I don't know. That is a bad hair day.
These guys weren't exactly tree-hugging eco-freaks. We had an aspiring Republican congressman, a two-star general, lots of defense contractors, and weird security guards in trench coats. How would they react to an energy revolution?
Our first speaker is Undersecretary of Policy Implementation at the Department of Energy, Mr. Benedict Waterman.
On behalf of the Department of Energy, I'm very excited to announce today a great new plan that will do nothing less than convert the United States energy grid into one that's powered entirely by renewable sources. As the dire reality of climate change becomes more and more inescapable, people will take the future into their own hands, and historically, we know that popular resistance is a force that can only with difficulty be countervailed. A revolutionary energy program today is easier than a real revolution tomorrow. By 2030, America will produce 100% of our energy from renewables, establishing us once again as a global leader in confronting the supreme challenge of climate change. We're excited to be working with the Bureau of Indian Affairs and some of the largest tribes from Arizona to the Dakotas to site major wind and solar facilities that will provide a large chunk of America's power. The tribes will own these facilities. It will provide an enormous stimulus to the economy and great resilience in the face of future threats. It's time for a second Thanksgiving.
I am Dana Slowhorse. I'm the Director of Industrial Development for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I am a member of the Wenatchee Nation, and joining me is my nephew here. He's a fire chief, a war chief, a water chief, and he's actually also a midwife. He helps young mothers. It's a long storied history between the Americans and indigenous peoples. And it always hasn't been a beneficial relationship, at least not to us. For the first time, we have a voice, and we will own, truly own, this new energy production. And that's progress. And it'll build us a stronger economy, a brighter future. It will give something to our children. There was a lot of work done on Benedict's task, because we want to acknowledge and honor that. And so I actually went and killed a deer. I tanned the hide myself. Give you this gift. That was good. Come on, let's gratitude with the Irish peoples. We want to acknowledge this with the round dance. I encourage everybody to join us together. Just form a circle around all this, it's possible.
All the way around?
Yeah, we can do all the way around. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. I composed this song for this occasion. I made it a simple song so we can sing it together because it's not just my song, it belongs to all of us. Way out here, way out ho, way out ho, way out here, way out ho, way out ho, way out here now, way out here now, way out ho ho ho, way out ho ho ho. The sun gon' shine, the sun gon' shine, the wind gonna blow, the wind gonna blow. That's all we need. That's all we need to continue to grow. To continue to grow. Way out here. Way out here.
It would be worthwhile, I think, get an opportunity to perhaps, chat with you or your staff or whoever you deem appropriate.
What kind of effect do you expect this to have on the share price of the energy companies today?
This is ultimately going to benefit the economy tremendously.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
How did the midwifery come about for you?
So, yeah, I have a lot of sisters and
a lot of grateful nieces and nephews.
Definitely, definitely.
So we're part of Northrop Grumman. We're a large business, but very interested to see how we can support this novel cause.
It's fantastic. So excited.
Yeah, this is outstanding. I feel really good. It's a very emotional day.
Great.
I was surprised to see someone from Northrop Grumman acting so excited. You weren't talking about weapons, you're talking about renewables.
You know, surprisingly enough, most people are not megalomaniacally insane. Even people that work for Northrop Grumman. And if they're given the opportunity to do what they actually believe in their hearts is the right thing, they go with it.
The fact that we could get all these people that we think of as being from the dark side, the dance in support of renewable energy, is that there are very few people who actually want us to continue on this fossil fuel path. And we have to force our leaders to actually do what we need them to do, and then people will follow. Except for a few oil company execs.
Good stuff. Thank you, thank you. Don't forget that song now, you sing it anytime.
Can getting a room full of defense contractors to dance for energy revolution actually change the world?
Before we continue, I have a quiz for the audience. If I say way-a-hey, what do you say? Way-a-ho. Exactly. Great. You guys are all Native Americans now. Well done. You passed the test, and yep. Yeah. Yeah. Way-a-hey, way-a-ho. We actually
I mean, that's the main answer. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
How is it that people don't start recognizing us?
Funny you should ask. We actually have a video to answer that. So this is the.
Oh yeah. Actually, when there's a serious risk of being recognized, we get other people to do the dirty work, or we work with and collaborate with groups of activists who have a lot more knowledge than we do of what should be done, including, like you saw there, there was Git's crazy boy, who's Canadian, and
therefore knows a lot.
Yeah, and Tito Ibarra,
also
who's Ojibwe and also knows a lot, and so we are working with them on that project, and for this other project here.
We were working with other Canadians.
And this is both wonderfully nostalgic and depressing for us to go back to 2009. Was anybody at the Copenhagen Climate Conference, COP15? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got a bunch of people. Some of you back there even kind of helped us out at that one, or we're working on this project you're about to see in some peripheral way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we're going to show you something. It's like a time machine. We're going to go back to 2009, to those happier days. Not really. It was just what, 7?
Slightly more optimistic, I think.
Yeah, we just thought that that was the year.
Differently optimistic.
Yeah, it was, you know, oddly. Well, it was a time when we didn't have a Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So personally, we had more optimism. Although today there's like pretty good news about how the United States, how people are reacting in the United States, you know, and the fact that there are a lot of people here who are willing to just say, fuck Donald Trump, as the song goes. I don't know if you're familiar with that song, but it's a really good song. And, and just go ahead and make agreements and keep going with the negotiations despite the government's unwillingness to join in. So, anyway, on that note, 2009. Oh, Canada, by the way, Canada, when Stephen Harper was president, used to be the United States with Trump as president. Yeah,
almost.
That sets up this video in answer to the question earlier.
More like Bush, but
yeah,
bad. Just picture bad. Okay.
It's the fall of 2009. All kinds of activists are preparing for the COP15 climate conference in Copenhagen. A lot of these activists are from rich countries, like Canada. We always thought that Canada were the good guys. They had public health care, friendly policemen, and an oil mine the size of England?
And Canada is the largest, the most secure, the most stable, and the friendliest supplier of that most vital of all America's purchases, energy.
A lot of Canadians were embarrassed by their government's policies. And in Copenhagen, a few of them decided to embarrass their government back.
We have been, and this is also like to be kept in the down low, we've been working with the Yes Men the past little while to do a statement on behalf of the government of Canada to communicate the ideal Canadian climate change plan.
Canada is one of the main countries that's blocking things right now, that's blocking progress. And it's because they sit on the world's second largest oil reserve.
Some Ugandan activists also came in to help. They had some really good reasons for wanting to embarrass Canada. After all, the World Bank says 75% of climate change is caused by rich countries like Canada, whereas 80% of the effects are felt by poor ones, like Uganda.
I'm Kodili. I'm from Uganda. There are lots of people out there, for example, where I come from, that are really facing these problems and they're failing to adapt. They're trying their level best, but it's really hard. So it's passionate for me to be here at this important meeting and do the little that I can do.
Together with our Canadian and Ugandan allies, and with the help of some enthusiastic art students, we got down to our very high-tech business of becoming Canada.
You know, they're supposed to look like these really expensive ones that they use on the speaker's podium and on the conference rooms. They're just made from pipe cleaners and from kitchen sponges. But from a distance, they look quite cool.
That's what we're trying to do, is just recreate the press room.
This would be the most ambitious action we'd ever worked on. With nothing but a few pipe cleaners, press releases, and websites, we hope to embarrass Canada in front of the whole climate conference and the whole world.
It's working.
We found someone, guys. He's coming. He's awesome.
A little bit of salt and pepper. This is great.
2 days more, and everything was finally in place. But would anyone notice?
Well, while Terry was looking through those documents, the world was laughing at Canada because of another one. It surfaced as a press release, or so everyone believed. But soon it was clear Canada had been punked.
first two press releases of this fiasco have gone out. The first one came from Environment Canada, a fake website that explained Canada's new position.
The day began with this press release announcing the astonishing news that Canada was suddenly doubling its emissions cuts to 40% below 1990 levels by 2020, and that it would generously pony up $13 billion to be allocated to the African countries for emissions reduction.
The second one went out about a half hour later, and that was in the same website, basically congratulating itself about Uganda's response.
Hello, Environment Canada.
That's great. CBC has bought it.
Then there was this article about it on what looked like the Wall Street Journal's website.
Wall Street Journal is allowing us to post articles on their server for this. It's really polite.
Then this, a news conference purportedly by the Ugandan delegate, posted on what looked like the Copenhagen conference website.
Dearest delegates,
it looked amazingly real, until the speaker compared Canada's oil reserves to a loaded gun.
And seemed ready to pull the trigger on millions of us around the globe.
Now we're sending out the retraction of the previous two releases sent from the official government agency. The previous ones were sent from a fake government agency. This one is sent from the real government agency. And to prove it, links to a video of Kodili reacting with glee.
A press release from Environment Canada followed that seemingly deplored the spoof releases and false hopes. This turned out to be a hoax. In fact, it was all a hoax.
Where is this?
This is the Globe and Mail.
Wait, the real Environment Canada quickly released its own release to contain the damage. It totally has worked.
Our flurry of press releases was starting to get some attention. But then, some very important Canadians opened the door to a whole lot more.
What? Global Exchange reported on it.
Oh, they're blaming Stephen Gilboa for this.
You think it's a game, but it's not a game, it's a serious issue.
You're playing games, I'm not playing games. Truth can be stranger than fiction. This is the Prime Minister's spokesman blaming the stunt on Stephen Gilboa of the environment group Equiterre.
And I want an apology.
And this is also the real thing.
I was in the plenary session at the time that this happened, and I really can't comment any further.
Gallery i København. Anti-Bickelbaum.
We're a group called the Yes Men.
The Yes Men. Greenhouse gases.
Canada's industrial emissions.
This environmentalist thinks the whole elaborate joke worked.
Why is it a hoax that Canada's going to do the right thing? I had nothing to do with this one, but I'm really happy that they did it.
There are reports tonight it's a group of pranksters who call themselves the Yes Men. They say they'll have a press conference tomorrow, if you can believe that.
At the COP15 climate talks, the rich did refuse to do the right thing. They refused to accept the limits our planet's future requires.
In the name of the Queen and the law, I declare this demonstration dissolved.
As the climate talks failed, the future looked bleaker than ever. Or did it?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to announce a surprise announcement has just broken.
Tonight we're going to start opening up the good COP15 where people can make the announcements they want to see.
Ladies and gentlemen of the... where are we?
We're in the press briefing room of the Bella Center.
Oh, thank you. I'm delighted to report the Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change has decided to leave fossil fuels in the ground.
Scientific reality trumps political reality.
We all expect President Obama to show up here Friday and surprise the entire planet by committing to 40% carbon reductions by 2020. And that's what he's going to do, and then we're going to all dance naked in the streets of Copenhagen.
The majority of Canadians actually want to see strong action on climate change, unlike what we've been hearing from our government.
350 parts per million is the deal the United States has put on the table.
I'm so thrilled that a resolution has been reached at this conference because now I can finally take off this suit and live as a normal human being again.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, this time we're serious.
Yeah,
we
there's
really
a lot
are
of
going to answer
details in
question,
there.
and we're not messing around. Yeah.
We tried to get in today and they wouldn't let us. But we didn't have a badge, so I think it wasn't because of this. And
Yeah.
plus we weren't there. I mean, that was outside the cup. We couldn't actually get in, that's why we had to simulate the inside and make it look just right. I mean, we used the real reaction shots of the audience, but fake speaking, yeah. Does that relate to the next video? Not really.
Well, it kind of does.
Does
it
it?
kind of does, yeah, because
we're trying to answer all the questions with videos.
See, we got an invitation this time around. We did.
Yeah, true.
We
right.
got invited to come to
Not
the
to the COP.
COP 23.
Oh,
It's 23, right?
Yep.
Yes. Only it turned out not to be the actual inside COP 23.
Yeah, we were tricked.
We were tricked. We were deceived. We were invited to come by a group called the German Development Institute, who tricked us into performing as representatives of Trump's Environmental Protection Agency. You guys have heard of the EPA? It used to be this thing that we had founded in 1970 to protect the environment, and now they're trying to rebuild it as an entity that destroys the environment. Anyway, so we were invited to come and as part of this this event, this Save the World that Theatre Bonn is organizing with the German Development Institute, come and play one of these sort of jokes on a group of a friendly audience of well-meaning individuals who are trying to make change mostly through the expected sort of formal channels.
Yeah, and the goal of this, just so that it makes a little more sense perhaps, this group was composed of all kinds of activists, non-activists as well, but some people believed in, that you have to have democracy and people have to rise up and make laws about what they want to see in the world. And some of them believed that the free market with a bit of cooperation from government would do it by itself. And we're all in favor of private-public partnerships. So this was specifically addressed to that audience, the ones who are really like the word public-private partnership, or is it private-public?
I believe it's public-private.
Public-private.
That's the way we say it in English, right?
PPP, yeah.
Public-private partnership. Yeah, so this is a piece that was on WDR television. Our WDR friends are out there. Thank you for putting this little thing together after the event on last Sunday.
Sie ist eröffnet, die 23. Weltklimakonferenz unter der Präsidentschaft der Republik Fidschi. Bonn ist der Gastgeber, dort wo Klimadiplomaten aus fast 200 Ländern zusammenkommen, um Wege zu finden, die Erderwärmung zu reduzieren. Im Vorfeld veranstaltete das Deutsche Institut für Entwicklungspolitik eine Konferenz vor internationalem Fachpublikum in eher spröder Atmosphäre. Bis zwei Männer die Bühne entern. Angekündigt sind sie als Vertreter des amerikanischen Umweltministeriums. Sie verdonnern einen Teilnehmer aus dem Publikum zum Fahrradfahren und erklären den Deutschen erstmal ihr größtes Problem.
Now,
Wir hier in den USA machen das mit dem Klima ziemlich gut. Aber ihr hier in Europa habt da viele Probleme, wie ihr wisst. Das größte ist die öffentliche Wahrnehmung des Klimawandels hier, die Angst eurer Bürger vor dem Klimawandel. Eure Herausforderung in Deutschland ist es, neue Lösungen zu liefern. Wir sind hier, um euch dabei zu helfen und Holger da hinten auch.
Die Idee der amerikanischen Regierung, sie fördern Start-ups, die unsere Flüchtlinge beschäftigen, indem diese auf Fahrrädern grüne Energie für uns erzeugen und so den CO2-Ausstoß minimieren. Review Greenergy heißt das Projekt.
Please watch.
Collectively, we face global warming and a huge
Dazu präsentieren die beiden einen Werbefilm, der auf einer neuen Website zu finden ist. In Europas Hauptstadt Brüssel wurde das Projekt angeblich bereits erfolgreich getestet.
Wir haben 3 von ihnen hier. Unser Geschäftsmodell ist inspiriert von den deutschen Minijobs. Dadurch bekommen die Flüchtlinge einen legalen Status, der es ihnen ermöglicht, zu flexibleren Bedingungen zu arbeiten.
Der ganze Vortrag ein Schwindel. Die beiden Herren gehören nicht zum amerikanischen Umweltministerium, sondern sind in Wahrheit amerikanische Künstler und Klimaaktivisten, The Yes Men, eingeladen auf Initiative des Theaters Bonn. Seit 25 Jahren sind die beiden unterwegs im Dienste einer besseren Welt, jetzt zum ersten Mal in Deutschland.
Das hier ist was anderes als unsere normalen Interventionen. Die Organisatoren wussten Bescheid, nicht aber die Konferenzteilnehmer. Normalerweise sind wir zum Beispiel auf Ölkonferenzen vor Leuten, die glauben, wir sind von ExxonMobil oder sowas, was wir natürlich nicht korrigieren. Und später kommt es dann über die News raus.
The Yes Men haben Protestgeschichte geschrieben.
Mr. Oswin, you're not even on the directory of HUD. You're not even listed. You don't even have a phone number.
It's come to that, has it?
Meist geben sie sich über Fake-Websites als Mitarbeiter internationaler Konzerne aus und lassen sich auf Wirtschaftskonferenzen einladen, auf denen sie dann die Ziele dieser Firmen lächerlich machen oder sich auf ihre Schwächen stürzen. Am 20. Jahrestag eines Chemieunfalls im indischen Bhopal gaben sie als Sprecher von Dow Chemical ein BBC-Interview, in dem sie den Opfern Entschädigungszahlungen versprachen. Die Aktien von Dow Chemical brachen danach um $2 Milliarden ein. Die Weltklimakonferenz in Bonn, für die Yes Men kein Feindesland. Provozieren wollen sie aber auch hier, obwohl die meisten Teilnehmer den Fake schnell durchschaut haben.
Ich mache mir ein bisschen Sorgen über die Ausdauer. Was wollt ihr den Flüchtlingen denn zu essen geben, damit sie durchhalten?
Naja, wenn wir die Europäer überzeugen könnten, dass es okay ist, Menschen aneinander zu verfüttern, könnten wir den ökologischen Fußabdruck signifikant reduzieren.
Flüchtlinge, die gegessen werden sollen, damit gehen die Yes Men selbst den Klimaschützern zu weit. Ihr missbraucht die Flüchtlingsschicksale. Sie sollen Fahrrad fahren, um Energie zu erzeugen und schlagt vor, sie zu essen? Schämt euch.
Selbst hier sitzen viele Leute, die sagen, die freie Wirtschaft regelt das schon alles. In unserer Performance ging es darum, zu übertreiben, klarzumachen, wie bescheuert das ist. Außerdem haben wir uns am Ende ja auch zu erkennen gegeben. Das tun wir sonst nicht.
Wir nehmen mal an, dass jeder hier mittlerweile mitbekommen hat, dass wir nicht zur amerikanischen Umweltbehörde gehören, oder?
Ich glaube, es ist ganz wichtig, dass man Leute aufrüttelt und dass man eine Perspektive zeigt, die vielleicht nicht jedermanns Geschmack ist. Die
Aha. Strange. We have one very special person we'd like to honor tonight because, you know, what happened there last week on Sunday was that we wouldn't have been able to give the presentation unless somebody very special was pedaling the bicycle that provided the power to make the presentation possible. The computer was actually wired directly into that bicycle, and a very sabotage. Anyway, Holger, are you out there? Thank you, Holger. We would like to thank Holger, who, you know, despite the fact that we were up there representing the EPA, he still was willing to come up and pedal the bike and offset the power. So thank you very much for that, Holger.
And to offset that, he's now powering this presentation with a little foot pedal that you have there. So thank you. It's much more discreet. Thank you.
So we thought you know, because we have this intimate crowd right after the event, we thought we'd give a little slideshow too, just in case, for those of you who don't speak German, I know there's a few of you here, so we're going to review what that WDM piece just said, okay? So this is a little review of our slideshow. So this, by the way, that thing over on the right side that says, what does it say? It says, for European recovery supplied by the United States of America. And that's from the Marshall Plan, yeah, so post-war. And then over here, United States Environmental Protection Agency. We've already been introduced as Robert Bradis Kravlock. That was I had to read my own name tag just now. That's, but a Bradis, by the way, is, it's the infrastructure that holds up an old-style coal mine. So Bradis is the sort of wood that you put inside the coal mine to hold it up. And he was Stephen Fibster Fine, and a fibster is a liar. So it may have been obvious.
This is an example of a fibster. And that is too. Different kind of fibster, though. Among the things we told the audience was that they had a problem.
We said this was the German problem here. But, their reactions, though, they were, yeah, you can imagine what it's like being told by the EPA that you are that little monkey, that angry monkey. There he is again. Oh, yeah.
And then we told them something, we told them some bad things about Germany.
Oh, yeah. By the way, this was part of it. The organizers of the DIE conference had originally wanted us to do something that was much more utopian, like the previous announcements that we'd done in the past, which you saw some examples of. But we are in such a deep depression in the United States right now under Trump that we just felt like we could not, as representatives of the Trump administration, say something utopian right now. That's why we chose this parody approach, or this sort of darker satirical approach.
Yeah. We said that Germany has two main problems, one of which is public perception of climate change, which hobbles German industry. You know, that people are so aware of climate change here and pay so much attention to it that the 1/3 of Germany's energy that comes from coal still is under threat. And so that's terrible. And so are the many, many cars that Germany produces. It's a large number of cars, a very large number.
Boy. How many cars, Andy?
That many. Never forget. Funny for us.
Yeah. See, we feel...
necessarily for the audience.
But yeah, there were a lot of people actually angry about that joke in particular.
Yeah, they said we had gone too far. And we said, well, we should have stopped at 5 million. But anyway, I know it's getting worse. Sorry, now you don't like us.
Yeah, no, this is we love Holocaust jokes personally. Yeah. But that's because both of our grandfathers died in the Holocaust. So every time for years, coming to Germany was really kind of awkward, because at first all you can think about is all those stories from your childhood, you know? Yeah. But anyway, eventually you make jokes about it until it becomes really funny that like 6 million, the number of cars, is equal.
And there's no other minority we can make jokes about, so we have to make them about ourselves.
Okay.
All right, so we thanked Europe, thank you, and...
Yeah, that was thanks for all the coal, for continuing this so just keep in mind, we represent the US EPA. So in that position, we thank Germany for continuing to burn so much coal. because it makes us look like the good guys. We're just restarting the coal industry in the United States, whereas you guys never really slowed down.
Yeah, and this is what climate anger looks like, another big problem.
This was the slide to represent how German citizens felt about the coal problem.
Yeah.
You know, people got angry. And some of you out there probably feel like, well, that guy, for sure. What about the other guy?
What other guy?
That guy.
Oh, the monkey?
Yeah.
On the left?
Climate anger. How did people respond to that like that? Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
When they saw that slide.
They reacted like that.
Yeah.
That's why we put those two slides next to each other. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that was that project. We showed that. Maybe we should we show the video?
Let's show the Refuge Greenergy video just so that we can indulge the awfulness of the idea some more. Yeah. Again, we were presenting this as the Trump administration, as a solution to the two problems that you face: public perception of climate change and refugees.
Yes. Here it is.
Collectively, we face global warming and a huge migrant crisis. Refuge Greenergy has a solution. With Refuge Greenergy, we provide you with green energy and refugees with jobs.
We have 3 of them here.
Du modèle des mini-jobs en Allemagne, statut légal qui a été créé spécialement pour les réfugiés et qui permet de les faire travailler dans des conditions plus flexibles.
In 2050, there will be 250 millions of refugees because of climate change.
Je trouve que c'est une opportunité à saisir et j'ai la chance d'avoir été choisi.
À un certain moment, le peuple doit comprendre que le pouvoir c'est nous.
Refuge Greenergy. Let's get used to it.
And we did this at first in Brussels with a group of activists, and of course part of the plan in anything that we do is a reveal afterwards, so we also made this video, which actually tells the story of Refuge Greenergy.
Je suis dans la fiction ou dans la non-fiction? Évidemment, le micro-contrat existe, mais c'est quand même un choix aussi éthique. Qui est un peu bizarre.
Moi, ce que j'observe, c'est que c'est la tendance générale en Europe.
Donc vous avez des connexions avec l'administration belge en l'occurrence.
Oui, c'est ça. C'est lui, c'est le CEO, Théo Merckx.
Alors, on a connu quelques phases tests dans des centres fermés en Belgique, et aujourd'hui, Refuge Greenergy est très fier de pouvoir annoncer le début d'un partenariat avec la ville de Bruxelles.
C'est moi en fait. C'est moi qu'on appelle migrant, c'est moi qu'on nomme réfugié. Il faut que quelqu'un me dise que ça m'a fait un choc de te voir là. Tout à l'heure, il m'a posé une question, il m'a dit vous venez d'où? Je lui ai dit je viens de la réfugie. Il m'a dit mais c'est quoi réfugié? J'ai dit ma nationalité c'est réfugié sur ma carte. Et c'est une nationalité que j'ai depuis 3 ans. J'ai cette nationalité.
I don't like the idea of putting people in a big paddock and making them pedal all day. And they're pedaling for making the power. That doesn't sound humane.
But what does the government of Belgium do with refugees? They don't do anything.
I don't know. I don't. I just arrived, so I don't know. I'm just thinking, man, that's crazy.
C'est 24 heures de légalité qui sont renouvelables.
Ah ouais, mais ça c'est dégueulasse. Enfin, moi je trouve que c'est... Enfin bon, c'est votre...
Pourquoi est-ce que vous trouvez que c'est dégueulasse?
Bah, je sais pas, c'est une utilisation des immigrés qui ne me plairait pas, j'aimerais pas moi. C'est nous, eux c'est nous. Vous aimeriez vous pédaler comme ça pour remplir et qu'on vous donne 1 euro par jour et une journée de légalité? Non, moi j'aimerais pas. Bon bah écoutez, bon courage. Au revoir.
Madame, je vous arrête parce qu'on fait des blagues en fait.
Ah bon? D'accord.
Non, mais c'est très bien que vous ayez raison. It is a joke. It's not a real joke.
Oh, she's joking, you mean? She's joking. Ah, she's a joking.
Okay, so what
Il y en a qui réagissent, mais il y en a non, et la plupart non. On fait des étiquettes sur les migrants, réfugiés, sans-papiers, demandeurs d'asile, un migrant avec séjour, etc. Tant qu'on est tous des êtres humains.
Moi, je pense que cette action a été mise en place pour dénoncer l'absurdité du système, surtout aussi avec la situation des Soudanais qui sont au parc Maximilien.
Que demain, après-demain, certainement, il y a des réfugiés qui vont arriver ici dans les années à venir. Mais les pays d'où proviennent ces réfugiés-là, c'est les pays qui, je crois, que polluent le moins. Et donc, une fois de plus, de grâce, c'est important parce que si on arrive à avoir refus green energy, automatiquement, on a tendance à tomber dans le piège de dire c'est une aide pour soutenir les réfugiés.
On peut vous dire que toute cette proposition que vous avez devant vos yeux n'est qu'une blague et que rien n'est vrai dans tout ce que nous avons proposé.
Ah, c'est une blague.
C'est une blague entière.
Et vous avez compris parfaitement. Voilà. C'était une blague, certainement que je suis tombé là-dedans, mais assez bien parce que, une fois de plus, je crois qu'on doit retrouver des gens qui sont prêts à défendre les réfugiés, les accompagner, les soutenir parce que c'est dur, comme je l'ai dit, même si l'énergie est utilisée aujourd'hui. Ces gens-là, ils ont tellement donné qu'aujourd'hui, ils n'ont même plus d'énergie à donner parce qu'ils sont fatigués. Voilà.
Oui.
I'm really excited about the way this project ties the refugee problem to the climate change problem, and because we keep trying to treat the symptoms of this disease without actually trying to cure the disease, and I think we need to do both at the same time, and that's really, hopefully, the message that comes through with this project.
Yeah, that message comes through because it's like climate change caused by us has created these refugee catastrophes and will create more of them. And, you know, then we resent these people that we have forced to leave their homes, not only through climate change, of course, but also through the vast history of exploitation with colonialism and so on, all of it. So yeah, part of it's about that. I think part of it's also about the absurdity of the idea of consumer action and the stupidity of this idea that you can actually have a market solution to a market problem.
Encore un mauvais coup de ces diables de yes men. Mais n'arrêteront-ils jamais de jouer des tours pendables à notre misérable société?
Mais alors
That, by the way, for those of you who don't know him, is Noël Godin, the Belgian pie man, who's pied Bill Gates and Milton Friedman and many other people. He's an old friend. Okay, so yeah, that's just an example. It's the latest example of a project we did in collaboration with people who wanted to do something around their issues, which is what we try to do. And so yeah, when it comes time to have beer and wine and food, we should talk about ideas that you might have that could use some of these techniques. There are also some online resources. Our website, an excellent online resource.
It's not showing up on the screen.
Oh no, it isn't. But it's showing up on this screen, so I can enjoy it. Let's see, how's this work?
Share it. Go ahead and share it with everybody.
This other thing.
Does anybody have questions while we play computer? Yeah.
First, as an American, I'm super thankful that you guys are out there being the true representatives of America. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, and we'll give you your paycheck later after the show. So.
What I find what you guys really do in terms, okay, you show sort of a darker side of humanity, but you seem to highlight, again, as you said in the RT interview, people really want to do the right thing, and they almost want to be liberated from having to be complacent to not doing the right thing. And given the chance to do the right thing, they're actually thrilled to do it. And in all the things that you, the actions you've done, have you ever convinced someone that might have been doing the wrong thing to change their policies, or has that been?
It's not likely.
Yeah.
I mean,
not a big decision maker. Someone who was like, or maybe ran a small business. Some.
I mean, people at these conferences, you know, we've impersonated various entities at many, many conferences over the years, and we've been approached by people at conferences on occasion who have said, you know, that was awesome. I get what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. That's happened pretty often, but they probably already, you know, were had those positions. And yeah, most of those people aren't evil. They're just in a default, you know, that's what they do. And they're not really our audience. You know, we do these things for these, usually for audiences of people in industries that we loathe. But not to convince them or not to really, you know, wake them up. I mean, originally it was that was the concept, but we were quickly disabused of the idea that that was possible. And they became these kind of theatrical audiences. They became our, you know, they played audience in videos and in movies. We made 3 movies. And they became the audience that wasn't reacting to these horrible proposals, which could let bigger audiences know that there's a real problem and that if anybody's going to do anything, it has to be all of us, and it's not going to be the experts. They're not paying attention, and they usually aren't.
But there are some minds that we did change, I think. We have a kind of crisis of education, you know, so the more educated people tend to be dumber. And so children or young adults who see our movies, which happens accidentally quite a bit, they're on YouTube and stuff, they will write to us and they'll say, oh my God, I have felt trapped in this logic of my parents for so long, or whatever. They actually feel an affinity for the, I mean, at first I think it's the jokes and it's the funniness and it's the transgressiveness, but then they sort of start to get into the politics, and we get email regularly from young people who offer that this made a difference to them, and I think that's probably the biggest difference that we make. I mean, there's a bunch of arenas where what we do works. It also works for, I think, helping with the morale of activists who really do the hard work of activism, which is the day in and day out organizing, the research, the stuff that is not at all glamorous, but requires a tremendous amount of effort, like this, and want to see, you know, something like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce ridiculed for their, you know, horrible position. They want, you know, they want to see these organizations infiltrated and made fun of, and so it's just we found that that's been really fun and useful from the feedback that we get. Then it's also, to some degree, the, you know, younger people, and I don't think we're changing the minds of people who actually are stuck. That's like what Andy was saying. You know, a lot of the people that we're talking to, even in, like, let's say, take the oil industry, for example. You know, we've spoken at a few oil conferences, and weirdly, in the oil industry, there's often quite a few people who are not total, like, right-wingers. They're people who got an education, a technical education, and then they're often, you know, they did engineering and science in school, so they know all about climate change. They know they're destroying the planet, but they're trying to pay off their student loans. And so it's one of the places where we found, that's actually, there's an oil industry conference where we were actually recognized. It's one of the few times we were recognized by the audience. And maybe we should show a clip of that if we have time. Do you guys want to see another video? Yeah? Okay, I heard one no, but you know. I guess this is democracy. Here we go. Sorry, no person.
And it's a movie, so what appears on the screen isn't necessarily what happened. We were actually recognized by somebody who had seen one of our movies, who texted the conference organizer, and that's why what happens happens. But it's much more dramatic the way we cut it, so I think you'll see.
So it started out, we made one Reggie, and then we cast a bunch of Reggies in wax.
That's human hair right there.
This is a lot of experimenting to figure out how to make a candle smell like human flesh.
Ow!
I lost a Reggie.
Quick! Ow! We wanted to make sure that the oilmen knew what the candles they'd be holding were made of. So we'd show them a tribute video to Reggie Watts, a terminally ill Exxon janitor who had volunteered to be turned into fuel.
I think I'd like to be a candle. I think a candle would be fun because there's just so many uses for a candle.
There are 6 billion people on this earth today. We're probably using the energies, maybe, of 1 billion of those at best.
They had me test a Hellfire missile once. That was pretty cool.
We simply haven't found the miracle fuel yet to replace petroleum, but we'll eventually get there if government gets out of the way.
We had his miracle fuel, and our grandfathers were turning over in their mass graves.
CTV News with Barb Higgins and Daryl Chance.
Good evening. A bizarre situation today at the Go Expo Energy Conference at Stampede Park.
Organizers and hundreds of Alberta oil and gas executives got duped.
They'd been promised a major announcement from a major player in the energy industry. Attendees paid $50 a head to hear this speech from the National Petroleum Council, a group that advises the White House on oil and gas matters.
Welcome to Go Expo's keynote luncheon. Please welcome SK Wolf.
First, I need to say how wonderful it is to see on all the faces here today the childlike exuberance of a great industry in full flower. And why not? Without oil, at least 4 billion people would starve, and starving would become the new black. But I'm not here today to pat us all on the back. I'm here to speak of Plan Bs.
As Andy began outlining Exxon's tough solution to climate change, 10 volunteers passed out 300 human flesh candles. This vigil would be like no other.
Who first had the idea to use the oil of a recently living animal to light his or her house? Even today, Shetland Islanders cut the heads off their puffins and put wicks in the stumps to make candles. We at Exxon firmly believe that a free market will, if left to its own devices, always find solutions to the dilemmas that humanity faces. We're calling our new technology Vivolium.
As Andy began to describe Exxon's new biofuel, the candles were lit. A strange odor rose into the air.
What you see here is an artist's rendition of an advanced, large-scale plant. The Vivolium feedstock is renewable and unprecious, and responds to the need of a shrinking market with greater supply. The dance of capital appears in full flower.
Finally, it was time to introduce Reggie Watts, the dying Exxon janitor who had volunteered to be turned into fuel. And now we begin the tribute video to Reggie Watts.
Worked in maintenance for a while. Moved up to maintenance 2, started doing cleanup, toxic spill cleanup.
After I heard from the doctor that I was going to die, I felt like I had something to live for.
Can you switch this off?
Could we describe?
Switch it off.
I think I'd like to be a candle. There's just so many uses for a candle. I mean, you know, like if you want something romantic, like that'd be nice to know I was a candle on table, you know, when people, when they first met each other on a date. I think that would be great. I'd love that. That'd be a hoot.
This is a funerary observance. I mean, this guy died.
Switch this off before
this man died.
It's people. Really is.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
I'm very sorry, but we've been cut off. Apparently, we're not allowed to have a funerary observance for a man who's died to make a product possible. And I'm being, are you allowed to do that to me?
Bridget Watts was an ExxonMobil employee, and these are actually 30 or 40% from his actual flight.
So this time it was 80%?
80%, I'm sorry.
The remaining 20 is from what?
The remaining 20 is just, you know, bonders to keep it together. We have to think in such a case.
What are your credentials with ExxonMobil? What is it? Sorry? What part of his body is it?
Please, sure.
So he's not with Exxon, not with National Petroleum, nothing?
Boy, oh boy. They better scream. Them guys love better before they let him out.
Now, thank you.
Hey.
Shut it down. Shut it down. Now.
Yeah, we have to shut it down now.
All right, now we can seriously take questions without using videos as answers, okay?
We won't know what to show, so just, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we need, whose help do you need to help them, to get them to stop fracking in the countryside? I mean, in New York, there was a moratorium on fracking, but it wasn't sure that whether the governor was going to lift it, and there was this big citizen movement that included all kinds of stuff that succeeded, and actually he put a permanent stop to it. So it can be done, and maybe that would be an example to look to. There's other places that have put permanent stops to fracking. God, there's this amazing movie, Aim High in Creation, an Australian activist who wanted to stop fracking, so she went to North Korea to learn how to make a propaganda movie against fracking. It's an amazing movie. And it ends up being a movie about fracking, of course, and that's just a gimmick, but she really does go to North Korea learn to make a propaganda movie. Yeah, anyways.
He's not saying that you should go to North Korea, but...
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I don't know what you should do, but there's you know, successful movements.
Yeah, and there's a lot of actually successful small symbolic actions that you could just replicate and see if they work in the UK context as well.
Yeah.
There's been some amazing, you know, fracking activism that includes stuff along the lines of what we do and other creative activists. So, yeah, well, we should talk and maybe
and you
exchange
can
ideas.
You can get ideas. There are a couple of websites. One is Beautiful Trouble, which this is named Beautiful Trouble. We actually don't know exactly why, but this is actually Beautiful Trouble. It's a book made by other people, including us. Also, we were some of the other people, but
this is getting really confusing.
Yeah, but it's a book, and it has a lot of case studies of successful actions, and maybe unsuccessful ones too, principles of activism, tactics that you can use, and goes into great discussion, great length discussing each one, and so it's good for thinking through what you might want to do. Another resource that might be even better is Actipedia, that has thousands and thousands of examples of actions that people have taken around various issues, and you could probably find a whole bunch around fracking on there, as well as by region, so for the UK context. There's some really great actions that have been done in the UK, of course, that you probably know, like Cheat Neutral and the retirement party for that guy. We could, if you want to pick our brains on any of that, just email us at people@theyesmen.org, and we'll try to remember what we can't remember.
Yeah. Just a follow-up question also. That's also a UK problem, that we have a biannual international arms fair that you could help us with. Because we always try to shut it down from the outside, and I think it's time for some more serious action from the inside.
Have you seen Mark Thomas? He went to an arms fair.
He published a book called As Used on Nelson Mandela. Oh, yeah. It was a really good book that kind of talks about these series of actions that they did. And it was also on his He had a television show for a while.
Yeah.
But
he
I think
instructs an Indonesian general on how to admit a certain amount of torture to diffuse accusations of more torture. I don't know. It's amazing.
I've been thinking about an eco-friendly arms company that we could work
That's
with.
a very
good idea.
You don't have to worry about killing children anymore. They can sprout into beautiful fruit trees. There's a mystery seed in every bullet.
Done.
Just a thought to play with.
Okay, now it just requires some elbow
rest in
grease.
private, if we can.
Yeah, ideas are good. And action is...
Yeah, all of this, I mean, the reason that we do what we do is because symbolic actions have always played a major role in social movements and in the success of many different things that we think of now we take for granted, whether it's the women's right to vote, civil rights. I mean, all of the Indian independence movement was a place where all the stories we really remember are these symbolic actions, whether it was the idea that Gandhi actually made all of his own clothes, or the Salt March, which was, you know, an elaborate bit of theater. These types of things create the stories that help build and sustain movements, and it's the stories that we remember. Sometimes we don't actually know that they're stories that were created anymore, like Rosa Parks sitting on the bus. For us in America is something that we learn about, but we think of it as something that just happened. That's the way we learn about it as kids. We don't learn that it was a planned activist action, a symbolic action where they were very carefully, you know, casting, Rosa Parks casting herself. They tried it with a couple other people. It didn't work so well. She also, in the most famous photo of it, the guy sitting in the photo, the white guy, is actually the United Press International reporter who's covering the story. He wasn't just a white bystander who had to sit in the back of the bus because she was sitting in the front seat. Yeah. So it's those kinds of lessons that we learn and try to propagate with the Yes Lab and aspire to, you know, play a role in these movements. But what we do also wouldn't exist or wouldn't make sense without everybody else doing a lot more.
Yeah, the rest of the movement. It can be a part of movements, and sometimes it's essential, sometimes less. But you know, the kinds of things we do, we enjoy doing, and we have a knack for it, strangely. It's not rocket science, though. Anybody can do it, and people do. When they want to do it for some reason, they manage to do it. So if you feel like this is what you'd like to do, you can, without too much trouble. Yeah?
Just a little follow-up to what you were just saying. When you talk about these symbolic actions and things like that, how do you guys find a place to insert yourself in the narrative, or how do you guys like choose what kind of actions or things like that you guys want to insert yourself? Like the things that you've showed us have been like really diverse, and like I'm wondering, do you guys have a focus, or is it just more about fun, or like people call you, hey, come on over and let's do something awesome?
Usually it's a combination. There's actually two ways that our things are guided. One is what's obvious. Like, we actually got our start in 1999 when the Seattle protests were happening that shut down the World Trade Organization and made a giant difference. We were swept away in the excitement about it, and we kind of got our start making fake websites and doing that. And it all kind of came together by accident. But you know, people come to us and say, have said over the years, like, you know, we just need a little advice on something or a little help, or originally we would actually do things. And the other way that we've chosen what to do is because we're making a movie and we're trying to tell a bigger story than just a particular activist thing. Like our second movie that a couple of those things were from is about how we can't trust the market, and the market is not, you know, trying to fight this neoliberal hegemony and this idea that somehow corporations are efficient and innovative and all these things that we just sort of accept on some level. Trying to fight that in different ways and making a story. And we needed to, you know, there was an oil conference going on, and we had plans to go there to give a talk, and we just kind of spoke to the activists in the room and said, you want to, well in advance of them being in the room, asked them if they wanted to do something at this conference, or maybe they had the idea for the conference. I can't remember, but we, you know, that's the other way. So, yeah.
Well, today it's 11/11, and at 11/11 people do things in Germany, in Aachen as well, by the way, and in Bonn as well. And this thing reminds me of something. Maybe you've seen it before. It reminds me on the, you know, the big thing that you have. So, and I thought maybe it's a perfect day. It's 11/11. You're here. We're here in Bonn, and I thought I'd just bring it to you. And maybe you can, I mean, I've always seen other people have these suits on, you know? You have always, other people do the dirt work. I think today would be, wouldn't it be a good day that they put it on? Okay. I mean, yeah, who of you wants to do it? I mean, you have to be careful, there's the battery here, otherwise the battery breaks.
I've already got a costume, so...
Yeah. Okay, that's true. I'll help you out, no worries. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, maybe while you guys are putting on, we could play. Do we have the survival wall clip? You know,
celebration of
that way.
Actually, I really like that you were invited by Die Partei at the European in Brussels, and you were showing the things. This was like such a golden moment. Big love for that thing. So Die Partei is actually a really good thing in Germany. That I really like that you support them and that they invited you. You were at the conference presenting these big ball things like the anti-terrorism stuff.
Solution, I believe it was.
Yeah, that was really good. With Martin Sonneborn together. Yeah. He's a good guy. Yeah, it's like our party, I would say. Yeah.
He paid for this.
Yeah, that was really good.
This is how we make a living. We allow political ads to be made.
I mean, I think he can put it on the computer.
Yeah, you can do this.
Can I?
It's one of those, I think.
Can I actually find it? Well, okay, you guys go ahead and work on that, and I will find... Let's see.
Actually, you can buy them really cheap in Bonn Center at a company that we won't know the name now, because it's a bad company, but still. I mean, just, you know how to do that, right? I think you're gifted enough.
How do you see this?
Let's see, where's the back? I think this is the back. Actually, other way around. What? I would think so. I think this is the front, right? Okay, cool.
This...
I mean, this is the arm, man.
Wait, how do I...
Yeah, it is.
Here, we're just going to play this in the background quietly. We would invent the ultimate disaster technology. A device so sophisticated, it could protect anyone from pretty much anything. But it would cost so much that only the richest businessmen could afford it. This is really weird.
Yeah.
The only question was, by the way, what company would make such a thing?
You've got to think Halliburton.
For they are the ones who do the research to make the mud, to build the tool, to run in the well, to make the test, to log the zone, to set the packer, cement the pipe and fire the gun, to perforate, to pump the gel that carries the sand, that props the frac, completes the well to produce the crude that runs the world for all the people all over the earth who live in the house that oil built.
Halliburton has been the world leader in extracting profit from every kind of disaster. They made billions off the first Gulf War and its sequel, and hundreds of millions off Katrina, all paid for by the U.S. government, whose vice president was once their own CEO.
Find the big red, find the big red, find the big red, hustling on.
If anyone could make a killing from total disaster, Halliburton would be the one. This morning, we got up really early, drove up to the very fancy hotel, which shall remain nameless because they threatened us if we use the material with their name. But you know, what's it called basically, the hotel?
Ritz-Carlton.
Ritz-Carlton, that one.
doing?
I'm Northrop Goody. I'm here with Halliburton, with Fred Wolf. I'm just helping demo a product. So, would either one of you mind helping us demo the suits? We have 3 of them. So you have to actually step into it, pull it on. It's kind of like a coverall. You'll wear it? All right, great. You're a good sport. You're a really good sport.
The catastrophic loss conference was for insurance people. They knew numbers, and we were about to show them some pretty simple math. With Gilda, we tried scary. With Reggie, we tried gross. Now, we would go for ridiculous.
We really appreciate being invited to speak on this panel. A lot of you work with the insurance industry, of course. Insurance has become extremely worried about some grave new dangers to people that we're seeing in the world around us today. And I'm, of course, talking about climate change and the disasters that it brings. But I can personally guarantee you that level heads will always be able to turn lemons into lemonade. Consider the Black Plague. This was an unspeakably rotten event, of course, in which 1/3 of Europe's population died in great agony. No one, of course, would wish such a thing on any civilization. Yet without it, without the Black Plague, the old business models of Europe would never have been overturned by the entrepreneurs of the Renaissance. And what would the world be without the Mona Lisa? Or, closer to home, how about the Great Deluge? This world-ending disaster, literally, was surely seen as a terrible catastrophe by Noah's contemporaries and perhaps by Noah himself. Yet Noah was ready to seize the day, and at the end of that day, not only was there a whole new world, but Noah found himself with a monopoly of the animals. For those of us in positions of responsibility, however, who might have to take charge in a crisis, even more innovative solutions are necessary. I'd like now to introduce my colleague here, Dr. Northrop Goody, who's the head of our Emergency Products Development Unit at Halliburton. And Dr. Goody will be showing some mock-ups of some items that his unit has developed.
We want something that's going to be able to save a human being no matter what Mother Nature throws at him. And so this is the answer. This is the Halliburton Survivaball. It's 3 easy steps for deployment: suiting up, inflating, and of course, launching. Launching out of a building, and we have an artist's rendition of what it might be like in Houston when we launch our Survivaballs. In the event of extreme catastrophe, there might be a scarcity of resources. In this case, we've got a Survivaball here that's going up and extracting resources, in this case from an animal. And you don't want to be exposed to the elements, but you still want to be able to extract resources from, for example, a cow. They're going to be able to go underwater, rated at 50 feet. They can be used in any condition. It doesn't matter whether you're in a landslide in California or even in the Arctic. Of course, any other conditions, whether it's tsunamis or tornadoes, the Survivaball is designed to withstand. But the best part of the Survivaball is that people need people. And so our biggest inspiration for the way that a community should work with Survivaballs comes from biology. As some of you probably know, amoebas gather together and actually form another body. They aggregate. And so these one-celled organisms come together as a single body. For example, here's a raft formation of Survivaballs in the ocean, floating, communicating, exchanging nutrients, differentiating function. Last of all, this is literally thousands of Survivaballs dancing through the streets.
And we'll be happy to take any questions. So if there are any more technical ones for Northrop here or general ones.
After the turtle position.
Yep.
I mean, in my mind, this clearly also plays right into terrorist attacks. What kind of defense mechanisms being provisioned against biological, chemical, radiological attack?
If you could demonstrate the turtle position, please, that would be great. Basically, if you duck down.
Okay.
Yeah. I was asked to thank Rhizome, which is an activist group here. Several are here. Hurrah. I'm keeping this, so thank you, Rhizome. And okay, and yeah, there's a lot of German groups doing amazing things right now. There's Rhizome, there's Peng Collective in Berlin and elsewhere. They're doing, yeah, Zentrum für politische Schönheit, political beauty, amazing stuff. Yeah, so it's really exciting to see because yeah, you guys have to save us. So it's good. There's, yeah,
That looks
okay.
a little awkward.
One more question.
Yeah, we are going to have to
And then
wrap
we're gonna
up very
drink.
soon, I'm afraid. But
Yeah.
there is an arm that's been up over in the corner
Oh,
for a
yeah.
long time. So.
Up arm.
Hi. First of all, I want to say that I think you're doing really good work in kind of a cynical approach to a really important topic. Now, the next part is kind of like a question and also maybe some criticism, because I was wondering how you felt talking about the faults in the U.S. Renewable energy policy on RT.
Oh.
So RT is a Russian government subsidized network. And so you criticize the American policy, which is okay, it's understandable, it could do more. However, Russia only produces a minuscule amount of electricity from renewable energy resources, less than 1%. And I was wondering, how do you justify that? How do you criticize one country without criticizing the next country, or so to say?
We're whores. I mean, that, you know, first of all, that was when, 2013, 14, something, before the whole Russia bad thing came about. And also, we, we did a project, actually, targeting Russia in Amsterdam. It's in our third movie. It wasn't a very successful project, but it did target Russia, so we have always been conscious of what they are. But, you know, none of these things, I mean, MSNBC is owned by GE, you know, whatever. Now, I don't think we would go on RT because it's just so annoying to Americans, the whole Russia thing. But also the whole Russia thing is also distracting to Americans. And there's some other things that we should be paying at least as much more attention to. I mean, yeah, sure, they stole the election, they, you know, all that, and there was a bunch of treason by, you know, whoever is in office, and of course they should all be, bad things should happen to them. But, you know, it kind of distracts and allows Democrats to not notice not pay enough attention to what happened to Democrats, what happened to the country because of Democrats over the last 40 years, when the Democrats, like the socialists in Europe, many of those parties, just became neoliberal mouthpieces and spoke for a slightly different version of neoliberalism. And, you know, this crazy idea that if you just let the market do what it wants and have the government help it to do that, things will work out great. That's you know, in the U.S. it's left many people behind, really dramatically, and that's part of the reason, combined with white supremacy, that Trump was elected. So we see where it leads, and it's really, you know, if we're going to change that, if we're going to not have that happen more, if we're going to get rid of Trump and you know, really just speaking as an American, but I think it applies here too. If we're going to get rid of him and have a different world, we have to really examine what happened and how the Democrats betrayed their history and their actual mission, which was to speak for workers and for everybody. So that's the whole Russian rant. And
yeah, we're also just not. We're not purists, we're kind of pragmatists. You know, we can't avoid the corporate media and still get our films out. I mean, that's also we're old.
No matter what media we go on, it's whoredom, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, right, we put, nowadays, like if we put a video up, we kind of have to put it on Facebook, which is really annoying. Like it's just, there's no, I mean, it's just so frustrating. All the options suck. Yeah. And so what we have to do, just like what we have to do with the climate situation, is build a new system from the ground up. So things like indie media, independent media networks, net neutrality, all these things are super important. We have to build them up and reinforce them as we take the other system down. We don't want everything, us personally, we'd rather not have everything collapse all at once in a bloody revolution. But we'd like to change it as quickly as we can. And yeah, for now, if Rupert Murdoch makes sure that billions of people watch our movie, we probably would go for it, although that's not gonna happen. But you know, it's very hard to pick and choose and to have, to be living in this world and remain squeaky clean. Not possible for us anyway. But cheers if you do.
There is a wonderful kind of chocolate that is made in the Dominican Republic and sailed by sailboat to Amsterdam, where then it's bicycled to wherever they sell it. But it's, you know, probably not scalable to everything. So for now, we're stuck with some bad things, which is the problem with consumer activism. I mean, you can only do so much. We need political, real citizen action, taking things down, causing trouble, stopping things, and having solutions. So,
if anybody wants to rub his stomach, you know, €1, you can come up and rub his stomach after the presentation. We actually just also want to really thank our hosts here, everybody who made it possible. There's a list. I don't want to say it because I know I'll forget somebody, and you're out here. So thank you for having us, and thanks for coming, those of you who came to demonstrate. Thank you for doing it. And, you know, let us know if there's any way we can contribute. You might know things we don't. And if anybody here happens to work for The Man and has like an extra conference invitation or something they just don't know what to do with, you know, let us know. And maybe we can help make your event more interesting. Yep.
Food and drink.